Welcome to the SHPE de ASU show. Oh, I'm in frame. To our Halloween special, introducing our host, Leslie. Hello, Leslie. And then we have Christian. This week, we have some amazing guests with us. First, we have Liz Jones.
Hi, everyone.
We have Ahmed Usman.
Hi, everyone.
And then we have Keene. I don't know how to say your last name. I had to spell it a lot in this past week, and it's been so hard.
Oh, no worries. Think of like patting a raccoon. That's pretty much what it is. You can say it that way.
A raccoon.
Yep, there we go.
Alrighty. So we have the presidents of multiple Fulton Diversity organization. Yeah, with us. So can you each tell us where you're from?
Sure. I can start. I am from the Society of Women Engineers.
Okay, I can go next. I am from the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers.
And I'm from the National Society of Black Engineers.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you all. Leslie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Just getting over the little exam midterm season.
Oh, yes.
Getting a 2-week break before finals. So we'll see how that goes.
2 weeks? Oh, no. Okay, well, that's nice. How was your exam then?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it was something for sure.
Okay, so our theme this week, as we promoted it very heavily, it's our Halloween special. People have been asking me for it since like the first episode, and here it is. And the theme we kind of wanted to tie in with it, with the spooky season, is to face your fears. So we got these amazing people who have done amazing, wonderful, tremendous things in their lives. And they're very young, you know, they've done a lot. So we thought it'd be very nice, fun, engaging, and very interesting in general to have them kind of talk about their own experiences and kind of discuss with us their whole progress. Yes. So that was kind of our thought process when we reached out to them. And personally, this is the episode I've been most excited for since I came up with the idea, because I was like, okay, we're going to have guests on the show. Who are some amazing people that I've met and I've seen do amazing things? And then I was like, wow, Liz Jones is amazing. Like, I've seen the articles, I've seen her in person. Lovely. Ahmed, whenever I saw him, he was like, hello. Beautiful smile. Love to talk to him. Always just, you know, in a good mood. And then we have Keene, who I saw from a distance, and I talked to him a few times, and every single time I was like, this guy's gonna go somewhere. So I think all these people are really amazing, and I'm really excited to have them all here. Leslie, do you have a few words? I kind of said a lot, I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. No, I agree, because I mean, you guys are the presidents of Fulton Diversity. You represent like a small but big group, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm very excited to get to know you guys a bit more, because fears are very intrusive, and I think you get to know a lot about someone if you know their fears.
I agree. So our kind of activity while we're going to be having our discussion is going to be decorating these little nice, cute pumpkins and skulls. We have some Mod Podge with us. If you want to follow along with some sort of item you have around, you can use like a normal glue. We're going to be using tissue paper to kind of, and we have like all the pretty colors. But we're going to be decorating and covering. It's going to look very nice. And to kind of just start us off, what we're going to do is, which one's scarier? Skull. Okay. So on the skull, we're all going to write our biggest fear right now. Let me think. Okay.
Tricky question.
Yes.
The biggest fear.
Already
I know, wow.
thinking. And in the chat for everyone who's here, if you're brave enough, go ahead and write it down. All right, I'm gonna start us off. So you can't really see it because I wrote it in pencil, but it's darkness. There's just something about darkness that's like, I'm scared because like, what if there's a person there? What if there's not a person there? I just don't know. So that's always been kind of scary for me.
I'll go next. I kind of went a different route. Not to get too deep or anything, but I said failure. And I honestly, it's kind of hard to talk about failure because I feel like everyone has different ways of success, and it's just, yeah, like I don't consider anybody else a failure, but for some reason, if I feel like I'm failing, then I consider myself a failure. So yeah.
Girl, I relate to that on level. That's why I said that I put the same thing. But I think for like me specifically, I put like failure in my career. And I think that it's interesting to see kind of too, because I have that same perspective where I never see anyone else as a failure, yet I'm way harder on myself. So I kind of totally agree.
I think I'll jump onto that as well because I have a similar one written down. It's kind of in pen, but my handwriting is very small, so it's a little hard to see, you know. But mine is not being a good enough engineer because, you know, when you're going through your career and you're kind of, you're not supposed to compare yourself with other people, but I mean, you inevitably will. So you see your friends getting internships, getting their job positions, getting all these good research labs, and you think, I mean, maybe I'm not enough of an engineer to do that. Maybe I don't have those qualifications. But I mean, that's one of those fears you have to face where you may not be the right fit for the specific position, but you're still definitely a good enough engineer. But that's still something you have to deal with a lot. So yeah.
One of my fears, you can't see it either, but was becoming too comfortable. For me, I'm all about like finding new things and like always being out of my shell. And I feel like if I ever come to a case where I just like don't care anymore, I become too complacent. It just won't be really who I am. So I'm always trying to get uncomfortable, try new things, raise the bar, raise my expectations, and just go higher.
All right, I'm going to take a quick pause from this conversation to welcome Salma. Say hello.
Hi guys, I'm so sorry I'm late. I was, goodness gracious, so many things happening, but thank you for like welcoming me on.
Well, thank you for being here. Salma's also from SWE, and the reason why she's here is a really funny story. I work with her. We're both community assistants at Tooker, and I kind of talked to her about how I sent a message to Liz, and she still hadn't responded yet. There's also a story there. But then Salma was like, "Oh yeah, she's super busy." So I was like, "Okay, well, you be the guest on the show." And then she was like, "Okay." And then Liz responded, and I was like, "Well, that's a little bit awkward." And then I did not want to like tell her to not be on the show. I still wanted her on the show. So yeah, I just kind of kept it that way. So thank you for being here.
I really felt so bad, y'all. I typed his like a full response and was like, yeah, like my schedule's fully open. I could totally do that. And I literally didn't click send. So I had it all typed up. It was sitting in flat drafts and I just didn't respond. And I was like, that's awkward.
I know, that was so funny. I was like, wait, I'm sure Liz would respond. I don't know what happened.
Someone messaged me and I was like, no, I responded. And I went to look and it was just sitting there like laughing at me. And I was like,
That's the level of like craziness that's been going on right now. Just like typing and just not sending at all. I do that all the time. Don't worry. Totally get that. Oh my goodness. So,
Okay.
no, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I don't have anything to say.
No, I was gonna ask, okay, so it looks like everyone was writing their fears on the skull, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. I totally get that. There's both points were very, at least the points that I jumped in on, were very good. I definitely agree. Like the imposter syndrome, I believe was brought up. It's funny that we were talking about that because recently I had done like this MIT Access program thingy where they were trying to tell students like what it means to have a PhD and everything. And some of these students were like international students. And so they were brought up what like the diversity looks like in the MIT PhD program. And it was very interesting to hear like their responses about how they were trying to increase diversity within their engineering, their field and everything. And so like they were talking about, they dove deep into like imposter syndrome and like how that could be like have an extreme like impact on like yourself if you're like one of the only type of like, you know, one of the only people like that representing your race. And I think one guy who was from Wisconsin who was on call and he's like, yeah, I'm like one of the only African Americans in my program and it's like very intimidating to be known as that guy. And he's like, what are you guys doing to improve like diversity here? And so like it brought up a lot of good points. So I completely understand like the whole imposter syndrome. I've definitely been feeling that a lot this semester, trying to apply for internships again and trying to get back into the swing of things. So yeah, it's definitely one of my greatest fears is not being good enough as an engineer. Especially as being surrounded by everyone else and looking at how everyone else is doing and like you're forgetting to give yourself credit. And I think that's huge in terms of like understanding like your position and everything. Like as a woman, like we always work on this in women in society, women engineers, oh my goodness, my words, about how important it is to remember that you are worth it in terms of arguing for your things like salaries and understanding your position and how to communicate with your bosses and what behavior is acceptable within the workplace. Like we've had a lot of workshops on that and like sitting in on those workshops, hearing it from the professionals in the industry is very encouraging. But yeah, that is definitely one of my greatest fears. That was really long, but yes, I'm trying to relate everything in a full circle, if that helps. So, yes.
That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I've never heard better words spoken in general. And I'm just like, it's weird because I see her like at least 1 or 2 times a week. And, we have, casual conversations. Then she just hops on my show, delivers the most thoughtful thing that I couldn't even come up with and outshines me. But it's okay because I want her to do better than me. Leslie, do you have anything to say or to segue into the activity?
I guess if you guys have your fear, it's kind of like a metaphor, right? To Harry Potter. You have your fear in your hands, and you can kind of control what you do with that fear. So I remember I read this book recently where it says you can't really control your emotions, but you can control the actions that you take based on those emotions. So I think like recognizing what you're afraid of is already like a big step towards overcoming that. So with the metaphor, we don't necessarily like push away our fears, but it's kind of like overcoming it metaphorically by just slapping a paper of tissue or something on it. I guess. So yeah. Whatever color you guys want to put on there, whatever it represents, you can do that. But yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to sound like an idiot, but you put the Mod Podge on a brush, and then you brush it onto the skull, and then you put the tissue paper on, right?
That's what I was gonna do.
Okay, good.
Yeah, honestly, Mod Podge kind of confuses me. I think of it like I feel like it's regular glue, but people just like put it at a high, like they appraise it a lot. But I feel like it's just a regular glue because you use it twice.
Okay.
I've never used it.
Gotta put the engineering mindset to good use. Okay, so that's done.
My friend and I, speaking of engineering mindsets, we were making like brain Rice Krispie treats for the holidays yesterday for Halloween. And I went to roll it into the brain and it literally like would not get off my hand. And then she was like, well, why don't you use just like Pam cooking spray and spray your hands and then it won't stick. And it actually worked. So pro tip, if anybody's making Rice Krispie treats and you need to roll them, throw some like baking spray on your hands and it won't stick.
It's very big brain right there. I appreciate it.
I was like, wow, you're putting that #1 in innovation to work.
So yesterday, I lent my brushes over to one of my friends. So I didn't have any brushes right now, and I kind of panicked. But then I realized I have this brush that I could use for like dyeing hair. So I'm using that.
Perfect. I really like that.
I was gonna use it.
It's still, I mean, it gets the Mod Podge on, you know? It still works. Still
this is my
innovative
tool
right
of
there.
choice. I lost my brushes.
What is,
Oh wait,
what is that? I can't see that.
It's like a little kit thing. Like a little brush for like a, what's it called? Let me show you.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, we got like little makeup kits for ourselves, just in case we wanted to like, I don't know, look spooky. And I was out here trying to look like Edward Cullen, but the lighting and the makeup didn't work out. So now I just look like a
Edward
normal
Cullen
person.
in his kitchen. You know how he was just standing there?
Oh yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I actually was thinking about that today. I was like, that would be so much better.
You guys have any design inspirations for this?
Not really.
Oh.
Different color for each of like the areas, but that's all I have right now.
Yeah, I'm just putting colors.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, exactly.
So I kind of want to talk a little bit more about fears, just because, you know, like that's kind of like our theme of the episode. So I was wondering, or because for me personally, I feel like if I hadn't joined SHPE, I wouldn't have the same motive that I do to become an engineer. Like, I generally feel like if I didn't have this organization, I might have like dropped out of engineering already. I don't know exactly where I was leading with this, but
I mean, I love that topic. I think it's so important. It's actually what I'm doing my honors thesis for Barrett on right now. So I'm looking at kind of how the different Fulton difference activities that we do have available here at ASU, from literally ASU 101 to all of the different diversity organizations that we offer. I want to really see like if that story that you just shared holds true for people. Because I feel the exact same way. Like, I think that there's been so many times that I've gone to my student org for support and kind of advice on topics that I don't know if I would have otherwise known, being like the first engineer in my family. So I definitely think that that's true. And I think it's awesome that like so many different diversity organizations have made such an impact for our Fulton students kind of across the board.
I think also like, for me personally, all of my friends are from my organization.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've made like acquaintances through classes, but all my close friends have been from SHPE.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it makes me think like from this fear that I have, where it would lead me if I hadn't had some people who like related to me, because it like engineering is very hard. It's very hard and you don't realize it. And when you're talking to someone who's like kind of already established engineer and very professional, that's how it felt when I first joined SHPE. They seemed very like well put together, had so many accomplishments. And then I like, once you get to know someone, you realize that there's so many I guess flaws within them. Not that it's a bad thing, but I feel like that's what kind of made me be a little bit less afraid of failing, because it shows like all these people have failed before, yet they're still inspirational to me. So I think like for sure these organizations have helped with this specific fear that I have.
100% agree with you on that. For me, like just finding people who are going through like a similar struggle was like really important. I didn't realize it would be such a big thing. Like NSBE definitely provided that for myself. So
Yeah, I agree. Like a lot of the officers coincidentally in SASE are mechanical engineers. So it's so much fun just to be able to like whenever we have our meetings or whenever we're talking with each other, just being able to go through our struggles in classes and actually be able to relate to each other. Like we know what we've all been through. We know what the younger or the lower classmen are going through because we were there last year, 2 years ago. We understand that struggle. So it's really helpful to just have someone there to talk about those fears with. So then you can kind of plan, you get to have an idea of what's going on. And then from there, you have a better idea of how to address those issues.
I think it also helps that it like these groups are made for like, they're not restricted, but they are made for certain communities. And I feel like that kind of allows you to express yourself more freely, because you have like similar cultures, similar upbringings, similar ways of speaking to each other that, you know, like other groups might not relate to. So I think, yeah, I'm just like praising all the Fulton diversity right now.
It's an important thing to have Fulton diversity. Like again, that's just part of the Fulton difference, you know, being able to have so many of these organizations that you can go to and like things you can relate to, honestly.
And I also feel like it's been valuable to participate in like some of the collaborative events that we've had with the other diversity organizations, because then you have the opportunity to be more inclusive by learning about these different cultures and these different groups and like how to best support those other groups. So not only do you get the benefit of identifying with other people, I feel like I also have learned so much about other cultures and ways to be more like mindful of that.
I think it's really interesting how, even though a lot of people have fears, especially with like engineering because it's scary, I feel like that fear is more prominent in diversity groups, and it's like a common theme whenever you talk to someone, because they're the first person to go to college, or they're the first person to even graduate high school sometimes.
Very true.
And yeah, I'm like thinking out loud right now.
I totally agree.
You know, another fear I have that's not related to anything like this. I am super scared of mobs.
Mobs?
Mobs of people, like people coming to like attack you. I have reasons for that, but just the murderous intent is just so chilling, like kind of crazy.
Wait, the what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The murderous intent of like a mob is like scary to me. Yeah.
Yeah, really scary.
The murderous intent of spiders and scorpions is also scary. I hate those things. I hate them so much. Like wasps, you don't see wasps too much in Arizona. You'll get the bee coming by, but when wasps come by, oh, you're dead. That's it. No. You're just done for.
Oh, Lord.
Reminds me of like the killer bees from earlier this year, and how everybody's now like made a meme about the like killer bees.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was a thing. I forgot about that.
I think it's funny how you're scared of spiders and scorpions when we live in Arizona.
They suck so much. Like there's one night I was coming upstairs, so I don't know, 1 a.m. or something, and I'm about to go upstairs, and I'm about to reach for the light switch, and then I see a shape on the wall. I'm like, that's kind of weird. There's usually not like a dark spot on the wall. And I turn on my flashlight on my phone, and lo and behold, there's just a scorpion sitting like 2 feet up, just sitting on the wall. And I'm like, this is not a good night. This is not fun. But I got it. It's okay. I didn't die, as you can tell. Yeah, pro tip of scorpions, you can get like a little piece of packaging tape, and if you have like a meter stick, just put it on the meter stick, then boom, you're far away from the scorpion, and you just kind of trap it with the packaging tape. So, Extermination 101 from Keene. What color have I not used yet? Oh, I haven't used orange.
Like trying to play with textures here, and I don't know if it's working, so we'll see what happens.
Kind of similar to what Ahmed was saying, in terms of like mobs. Something that kind of came up was like public speaking, because of like, a whole group in front of you and you have to talk to them. And that was always like a fear of mine. Like I was a very shy person. Like I didn't like to talk a lot. And I feel like that's something that we all have had to overcome. And I don't even know how I overcame it. But now I have like a show where like, I have as many people as I can watch me talk. I just kind of want to see like how you guys have kind of overcome that fear, because I don't really remember how I did it. And I want to see if it's like different for every person.
I think is Salma, where are you going?
Oh, no, I mean, if you can go if you want.
You go first. You go first.
Okay, alrighty. For me, public speaking, it's very weird because I feel like it's like depends on, I wouldn't say it depends on the day, but it definitely depends on like whatever mood I came in with. Because sometimes I will go in to like interviews and I'll be super confident and I'll have like everything ready, like I'll know what I want to talk about, and Like, that's just who I am. But then there's other days where I like extremely doubt myself because I know who I'm talking to and I get intimidated by that. And like, for instance, like I did one of the most recent examples of still like getting over the fear of talking was like doing a presentation in front of my research group. I had done a whole like Fury Symposium presentation before that, and I thought I knew my material very well. But like as soon as the presentation went, I just froze. And I mean, I couldn't even get my words out properly in terms of like how to just explain any of the data or anything. And I don't know if it was because like I knew everyone there. Like I guess I'd rather present in front of strangers so that way if like I mess up, they won't even know who I am versus presenting in front of people that I do know and actually like can take apart the material that I'm trying to explain. It can be very intimidating, but I think for me, overcoming that fear had to do with understanding that not everyone, like not, it's, how's a good way to say this? It's just, you got to understand that not everybody is trying to judge you based off like, just based off of who you are, based off the words that you are trying to say. You have to understand that people are always messing up and trying, or some of them just genuinely want to understand the material, and it's not to try and embarrass you. And it's not to try, like you should never try and assume the worst of people. So you shouldn't be scared or afraid to speak your mind about it either, you know? Sometimes I forget that, and I automatically think that I'm going to embarrass myself. And that's like where my fear of public speaking stems from, embarrassing myself and not being able to represent what I properly want to represent. Because like I've always had this thing where like everything I do and say is representing my family or representing my community, or I'm always representing somebody else other than myself. And I never want to give a bad impression of anyone or anything that I try to represent, you know? So yeah, overcoming that fear for me was just understanding the crowd that I was speaking to, and understand that, yeah, some things go bad and some things go good. But like at the end of the day, it's always a learning experience, and you shouldn't try and put yourself in a situation where you think everyone's judging you 24/7 for what you're saying. So.
It's a very valid explanation for like, getting over your fears, because I know it's really hard to not think that everyone's judging you when you're speaking, especially when everyone's looking at you. Like that, you just kind of imply that everyone's staring at you, so you think they're judging you. But at least for me, in terms of overcoming the fear of public speaking, I just kind of thought, I mean, I'm up here for a reason. I'm up here to talk about something I'm passionate about. So let me just do that. Let me try to inject some humor in here. Let me just try to seem enthusiastic about it. And I mean, if people don't like it, then that's just unfortunate. But at least I'm here being able to describe something that I enjoy. So I think that was kind of the click for me, just being able to realize, okay, you know, I'm here for a reason. I'm here to teach other people or to talk about something to other people that I'm passionate about. So I'm just going to do that and see how it goes.
I feel like I'm maybe totally the opposite in this situation. I took a very tangible approach and took a public speaking class in high school. And I think that for me, I'm a very like step-oriented person. And so I needed something a little bit more, like I needed help beyond just what I could give myself. And so I ended up taking like a course. And I think that really helped me like skills and honest feedback about my speech tendencies and how I was approaching different public speaking opportunities. So that helped a lot for me.
Oh, speaking of which, I'm so sorry. Just really quickly, I just like to give credit for like the fact that Liz reminded me that like I have a lot of enthusiasm when I talk, and I completely forget that that's something that people actually enjoy. So Liz reminds me like almost every meeting last year, like about how, yeah, like honestly, like that reminding me that like that matters and it makes a difference in people's lives, like makes me very happy, which makes me 10 times happier than when I was happy before. So, which boosts your confidence, which in turn boosts, like, I don't know, public speaking. I don't know, wrapping the full circle, you know? So.
No, I think that's such a true point too. And like, being a part of these different organizations, this is really like where you should be asking for honest feedback. Like everyone in SWE always is like, Liz, you talk way too fast and it makes it seem like you're nervous. And I'm like, gotcha. I'm excited. So I'm talking fast, but I do see how that's like coming across as nervousness. So that's like always something that I suggest to you is like finding someone you're comfortable with to give you like honest feedback about any kind of fear, honestly.
Yeah, most definitely.
For me, when it comes to public speaking, kind of just look at the finish line. Like it'll be over in the next few minutes. So that's how I kind of calm my anxiety, I guess. I guess I am a bit more of a natural public speaker, at least my friends say I am. So I don't have that much of an issue, but like just seeing it in the bigger picture definitely helps me with the process.
Yeah, that's a good point. Having that goal in mind. Once you get there, it's like, okay, yeah, all good now.
I think that for me, I feel like I'm always going to be a work in progress because honestly, I am a very shy person. I am very shy. And I've always been ever since I was, little. But I think that I think it really helps kind of pretending you're not. You kind of pretend you're not. And it really helps, especially when you're meeting someone new that doesn't know you. I feel like for me, once someone has a perception of me, it kind of changes how I behave. And if they know me from when I was younger, I'm a lot more shy around them than if I was with someone new, because I can kind of change how someone views me, if that makes sense. And it kind of sounds kind of bad because, I'm not really changing myself. It's just kind of, it's hard to change someone's perception of you, if that makes sense.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, it does.
Like, I totally get that because like, I remember like in high school when I was trying to become a captain, everyone always viewed me as like this super happy-go-lucky girl, but like never as like a true leader until I started acting like it, which means I had to like completely change my perception of how other people viewed me. Because I think like when you tell someone the qualities that they have, for some reason they start to really exemplify those qualities, right? Like you become more conscious of them, right? And I think, yeah, it's really hard to change perceptions of how other people view you. But I think if you have your own goal in mind too, and sometimes it helps transform how other people, because like, yeah, it does take time to like change how people perceive you. But you're always going to be a work in progress. You're always going to be growing and improving on how you present yourself and how you want to present yourself. And sometimes people telling you what they think of you is a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad thing. I mean, I guess it depends on how you take that feedback and how you continue to move with it or go with it. Yeah, so I definitely agree with you. People perceive it.
I also agree that it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing because you kind of see yourself in someone else's how they view you. And it kind of sometimes helps with your confidence, but other times, maybe it might not, because you might think you're a certain way and then someone else views it a different way, if that kind of makes sense. Because sometimes you don't realize everything that you've done until someone else tells you, like, oh, really? Like, I did that. It kind of builds your confidence. Mm-hmm. Somebody said, "Hey Liz, it's me, Fernando. Hope you didn't forget about me."
Hi, I did not forget about you.
It's actually very interesting because I was kind of thinking, as you all were saying, like your own experiences with like the fear of public speaking. I kind of saw my own fear stemming from like putting myself out there in front of other people. It's kind of like a vulnerability where like you're showing yourself off, whatever you're talking about. You're kind of showing a side of yourself, and you're letting like everybody see. And a big thing for me, at least, was like I was always scared, like, people are gonna think all these bad things about me. But it was actually last summer where I really kind of overcame it. And it was kind of a sudden thing where basically I dyed like my hair pink, like hot pink, very vibrant, very showy. So that was like kind of my way of like putting myself out there like all the time. So it's like kind of how a lot of people say, like, you really have to practice at it, get out there, present in front of a bunch of people. That's kind of what I was doing, like every second that I was outside. And that just kind of, I don't know, it built like confidence a little bit in like me about myself. Like I could, be with myself, still be proud of myself, and still show off like that. And it also gave me a little idea, like, or an ideology where like part of me doesn't have to really care. I don't know if that's like too intense of like, or like an exaggeration, but like, it doesn't matter what they think about me. Like if I like the way I look, and I like the person I am, then that's like good enough for me. Of course, there's like, still times where I'm like, okay, yeah, of course I want feedback. Like I want to see what you think, where I can improve. But that's kind of my own experience.
Yeah, most definitely. In my opinion, it's kind of like whenever you present or speak or kind of like even have dye your hair like that, it's like it's all like you're just showing off who you are, honestly. And I mean, kind of a segue into another thing, like doing performances. Like in my past, I did karate. Like that's pretty much the same thing. You're essentially putting on a performance for other people. So that kind of helps. Like it's kind of like a non-verbal public speaking in a sense when you're doing kata, like all the forms that you do. It's just building your confidence towards being able to show your skill, show who you are, and be proud of it. So I agree with that, Christian.
Totally.
I think that's still something I'm working on. I haven't done, I don't really like put myself out there a lot. I'm not very vulnerable. I recently learned that. But I forgot what I was gonna say. Okay, I'm sorry.
You're all good. I mean, the co-hosting the show is a very big step towards being able to like, show your vulnerability to other people. So I think you're making a lot of good steps in the right direction. If that if that means anything.
Yeah, I think it helps that I can't see them. That's the part that helps a lot.
Hey, Zoom. Yeah, it's one of those awkward, like, kind of going back to what Liz was talking about with, or I think Salma, with presenting to your research group.
Oh yeah.
You can't be nervous if you can't see them on Zoom. you're just there talking to the camera, like, okay, guys, here's my research, and then you're just talking to yourself the whole time. You can't see like the looks that they might be giving you on the side because you're too busy giving your own presentation.
I think that's probably like one of the, from a positive viewpoint, what COVID brought.
The positive, very few positive things that COVID brings. Practice. Although I'm not gonna lie, sometimes like having a friendly face there kind of allows me to be a little bit more personable, I guess, like, and allows me to like connect with them in a way that makes them seem less intimidating. Like, you know how you have this every few, like in an audience, you have like several different types of people. You have people who like are very focused on you and very like active and wants to be like interactive with you, right? And those people are really fun to like be with because like they're always learning, you know, they want to be there for you and stuff like that, and or for you or the thing you're presenting, they want to learn, and that's always fun for me to like present to those type of people. And then there's people who are like completely like zoned out, not listening whatsoever. And those people are also pretty funny to watch. It makes me feel less nervous knowing that they're not listening very well. Like, okay, totally cool. I'm down with that. I don't know. I guess like in general, reading your audience when you're public like speaking helps me a little bit because it allows me to like, especially like if let's say either you fail at humor or you're totally getting the humor, like at least you know what coast you're riding on, right?
Yeah, that's true. There's a time I tried to do humor in a Zoom meeting and it didn't work out very well. It's because I mean everyone's on mute and they have to make an effort to like turn on the microphone, go ha ha, and then turn it off again. So I mean, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys recently saw that video of that poor guy trying to make a joke during a Zoom meeting. Some other person was eating potatoes and he decided to joke and say like potato patata, and it was completely silent. And I felt terrible for him because no one was laughing. You could just tell from his face, like that was not it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I think I know what video you're talking about too. Oh my goodness.
Have you seen it?
Was it okay? I think I saw it on Instagram. I could be wrong. Like it was through one of my reels that was going through, and then he just like kind of awkwardly like.
Yeah, he like smiled and he was like,
It's like never mind. That was so awkward.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
That's rough. I don't think I've seen that video, but now I kind of want to go look for it.
Speaking of videos, you know, a great positive also, not just like not being able to see the people you're talking to, but like being able to rewatch yourself. I mean, it can be extremely cringy, but it's a great learning experience.
Yeah,
Very true.
Fair friend. Because a few of the interviews I had in the past few weeks are all on like Modern Hire View or Modern Hire. And they have the like little practice boxes where you can record yourself doing a practice interview question and rewatch yourself. Yeah, it's kind of hard to do that. You're just sitting there like, yeah, I said 50 times. I'm looking off to the left 50 other times, and I didn't even answer the question in this part, even though it's a practice question. But I mean, as Salma said, it's a good learning experience. So partially good thing for virtual stuff. You're more used to just sitting in front of a computer and zooming to yourself, or at least looking at yourself because you know you're on a screen all the time. But yeah, it still doesn't take away the cringiness of it, of watching you kind of suffer your way through a question.
Yeah, no, I sometimes try to watch like the episode playbacks, and then as soon as I hear myself speak, I just turn it off. I cannot.
Not dealing with that today. Nope. There's a really. Oh yeah, you go on. Sorry. No, you go on.
Go.
Oh no, I had a dumb story. You go on.
Okay, but go. It relates, right?
Oh no, it's just being like cringe about a video that I made. So you can go on.
Hold on. I'm trying to think of what I was trying to say. Oh, right. I think it's really interesting how a lot of people feel the same way about being judged, and it kind of makes you realize that you think you're being judged and then they think they're also being judged. So in reality, they're not even really thinking about you as you're kind of presenting yourself or in any kind of way. And even people who, I don't know, like, because for me, I've never really, okay, this is like a completely off topic, but I've never really been bullied. So I really don't have any kind of like reason to feel like I'm being attacked, but it's just something that my mind made up. And I think I don't know, it's just, it kind of helps ease yourself into doing things that you're afraid of, because it makes you realize everyone's thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah, that's very true. And it's just part of human nature, to be honest, to put a bigger spotlight on yourself because you're the mind of your own body. So anything that you see is something that you perceive as to yourself. But you're right in that it's nice to be able to have that perspective of other people have their own issues, so they're not really focusing on you as much, which kind of gives you that opportunity to grow and just kind of try out new things that you wouldn't have otherwise.
And I think honestly, just being aware of your fears or your weaknesses, or like even just being aware of yourself, that you know that you're being harder on yourself, has made such a difference for like me personally. Like me knowing that XYZ makes me uncomfortable in a situation, and then knowing how to like avoid those feelings has been super helpful for me, like overcoming and pushing myself to do different things that I may have not otherwise done. So that's something that like, I don't know if anybody else found that like to be true or if they've tried that, but I think that self-reflection has helped me a lot.
And like, oh, you can go, Keene.
Oh, no, you go.
Oh, reflecting, but also like making sure you're like, what's the word? I guess reflecting on your mindset too and your perception. This kind of just goes back into what everyone's saying, but it's an echo chamber, I guess. If you're like actively trying to like, change some things to make sure like your mindset's on that. With my own fears, I guess, like, well, I used to hate roller coasters. I used to hate heights a lot. And I worked my way up from like teacups to the Frogger rides, everything now. Part of the reason though was because I like roller coasters, but I didn't like want to like go through the experience. But over time, I really just shifted my mindset and like saw like, hey, it's more fun, when you actually try. It was unreasonable like fears for me. So.
I'd like to build off of that point. I used to be the person that like loved the happy parts of a movie, skipped the terrible parts of every sad movie ever. I'm like, no, I cannot watch this person. I need to see the ending in order to get through the hard part, right? I used to be like that, like all the time. Like I did not like anything sad or upsetting or hard for that matter. But like, at least not watching it. I mean, obviously I had to experience it because I didn't have a replay or a forward button, although there's so many times in my life where I wished I had a replay or a forward button. But like, I think you have to like really understand that in order to enjoy the good times that come, you have to experience both the up and down. Just like in order to understand that there's light, there's dark, right? There's a lot of balance in life, right? Yeah. I was like, there's some things you have to go through in order to grow and experience and enjoy the good moments, because they'll make you more aware of those moments in a way, right? So no, I definitely like agree with the point where like there's a lot of big things you just have to like go through, like push yourself forward in order to like get to the times that you actually enjoy. It makes it that much more valuable. Just like food, like if you make your own food, it makes it that much more delicious. I don't know it's all the work that you put in,
You obviously haven't eaten anything I cooked.
Salma's out here getting deep on us though. Look at this philosophical girl, okay?
I know. You gotta see light and dark. Like, ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, no, I agree. Building off of your point, I think that you kind of have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think, Mohammed, you also mentioned that earlier. Like, even though it's gonna be terrifying before you do it, after you're gonna realize, like, I did that and it wasn't as bad as I thought. I think that's something very important to remember all the time. And it's also kind of another thing that kind of deals with being afraid of failure is not knowing what's going to happen after your failure. And if you look back at your past, when all the times you've been afraid of what's going to happen because of this, and now you look at yourself now, it's like, it seems terrifying then, but you know that everything is going to end up being okay in the future, if that makes sense.
I love all of this. And I think the only thing that I would say is really important to add is that even though you do have to go through some bad things in life or some difficult situations or maybe a really tough class, that you don't have to do it alone. And I think that that's something that like I really tried to use my presidency in SWE to advocate for, is that where the most of those struggles are something that someone else is going on, like has going on also within the engineering community, especially with ASU's community being so big. So like, I think that something that I really had to overcome the fear of is fear of like asking for help. And so I think that knowing that you're going to go through those things, but then also being okay with asking for help. And I think in asking for help, I've like learned a lot about myself and made some really great like friendships from it.
Yeah, definitely. That asking for help and reaching out is a big thing that I learned this year. Like, just because you send an email to someone doesn't mean you're going to die. Like, at worst, it's just going to be a polite no or no response. So just realizing that, honestly, was a pretty big step with my presidency this year. Just being able to reach out to like other clubs or professionals like in the local area to be able to present at our club meetings. Like, just send an email. And whatever happens will happen. So, big step.
Okay, I think somebody asked a question that I think is great timing. They said that they came late, so what are we making? So everyone, I don't know if you guys are ready to unveil.
Hey,
Marge, Marge, skeleton. I don't know what I'm doing. But it looks kind of cool, honestly, for my first time.
I think I won the award for the worst.
What?
Oh, she's beautiful.
What? You have a pattern. Look at
she has red teeth right now. Angry.
She has character.
Yeah. It looks like someone put a bunch of bubble gum and like wadded it up and stuck it on mine, you know? I mean,
I like
very pretty though. It's like a moss hair, you know, or like a chia pet, but a colorful chia pet.
Very cool. Very cool.
I tried to do like the 3D like brain type situation.
Oh.
Here. I don't know how it worked out, but yeah. And then I did candy corn for Halloween, and then I was like, I want to do something more feminine, so I added a headband.
Nice.
I'm not even close to finish, like, at all.
Let me show you partial product.
I literally did like 2 colors. I don't know. I had a specific idea in mind, but it's turning out very different from what I expected.
Like the
Christopher said they look like mini piñatas.
You're right.
They do.
Honestly, I am gonna hang this in my room. Like, why not? You know.
I think this is a great metaphor, honestly. Our fears are on these skulls, and now look at them.
They're pretty.
They're art.
They're just stuff.
Dressed up fears, talking about philosophical talks here.
Daniel said we need to have an episode social between our orgs once we are back in person.
Oh, please. Yes, please. There are so many things I want to do in person, and COVID's like, you want to eat food? No. You want to get boba? No. I'm sad now.
I was thinking about it. Oh, sorry.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Really good. I was thinking about the game night that we did at, I think it was last semester, and a bunch of the different diversity orgs partnered together, and it was in the MU, and I played Twister and won, and I was like, wow, those were some good times. So we had like the heart tournament. It's like, okay, it's fine.
I remember that. Yeah.
That was fun. No one was expecting me to actually play Twister. They were like, Liz wants to play Twister? And I was like, yeah, move, I'm getting in.
Whenever, I enjoy Twister as well, so whenever there's an in-person thing, I will challenge you.
Okay, challenge accepted.
Twister is very fun. But there are so many opportunities missed out, though. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good, sorry. What's it called? Even though it's not going to be in person, I'm very excited for our game night. I mean, we have Among Us now. Are you just not excited for that one?
Among Us seems like so much fun. I haven't even played it yet.
Girl, you got to. It's really fun.
It scares me how good some of my friends are at lying.
I've never.
Real fear.
I've never played the imposter ever.
Really?
Yeah, I've never gotten it. I'm terrified of being a bad imposter.
Dude, I
Yeah,
would
being an
love
imposter
to
is
be an
fun.
imposter.
Well,
Whenever you do play Salma, just remember if there's any tasks in electrical, just don't do them. Just don't go in. Just don't go in there.
Stay away.
Everyone dies in electrical.
That's nice.
My game and my major.
I was
So
gonna say that's kind of ironic, isn't it? Oh man.
Daniel said that he's never even played Among Us either.
I can relate.
It's free. You could do it right now.
Do it right now while I'm making.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it is 6 o'clock. I don't know where the time went, but I'm glad I got to decorate this. It's gonna be definitely something. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but we'll see.
Wait, on my nightstand. It'll be my protector when I sleep.
I'll keep the spiders away.
Yes, it'll eat the spiders. Like it has the moving jaw. Oh, there you go. No spider.
And I forgot what engineering you said, but I mean, you are an engineer. You can design something.
Oh yeah, I'm a mechanical engineer. I'll just make it like a very strong like a motor that's just super strong torque and just anything comes by, it's like a mousetrap. Just whoop, there we go. No more spider.
That'd be pretty funny.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you all for coming, even if one of you were late. I'm kidding, you're good. But yeah, this has been, in my opinion, I want to speak for Leslie, but this has been the best episode in my opinion. I enjoyed every single second of it. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you for
Thanks for
hosting
having
us.
us. Yeah.
So much for inviting me.
Thank you everyone for watching and chat.
Right. Bye everybody in the stream.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.